getting my prescription refilled is a massive pain in the ass. Because I'm on Adderall.
And Adderall is a type of steroid, so it's a controlled substance?
No, it's not a type of steroid.
I'm just guessing. I'm trying to predict what you're going to say.
Because Adderall is an amphetamine, they really don't want people taking amphetamines.
I thought amphetamines were controlled substances.
They are controlled substances, and they really don't want you taking them.
Okay.
Because I have ADHD, it's difficult for me to remember to do things. So sometimes I'll get down to the last 3 pills in the bottle and go, oh no, I forgot to refill my prescription because I have ADHD and I can't remember to do things.
And then you find out that you don't have anything to consume. You've got no pills left.
I have barely anything left because I have to put them in a little pill organizer, otherwise I'll forget to take them. Anyway, they definitely don't make it easy for me to be able to do that. I have to call my doctor and say, hey, I need a refill of my prescription. And he goes, well, you really should call the nurse first. And I go, I did call the nurse. I've called him every single day for the last week trying to refill my prescription, and he won't fucking call me back.
Is this an issue with your pharmacy then?
It's an issue with VA and ADHD medication in general. Something like 30% of people who are prescribed Adderall don't actually take it, they just sell it. Because they'd rather have money than actually have their ADHD controlled. Or, alternatively, they don't actually have ADHD, they just got prescribed it so that they could sell the Adderall to people. And unfortunately for me, Adderall actually works. It's really unfortunate because people who have ADHD are not very good at adhering to schedules.
Yeah.
Like making sure that your medication is ordered on time. And because they make you jump through so many hoops to do it, a lot of people that have this medication end up just not doing it anymore because it's too much of a pain in the ass to do it.
Jeez.
I went to get my prescription refilled last week, and I called my doctor and said that I needed to get it refilled, and he was like, oh, okay, I'll put that in for you. And then I got a call like an hour later from the VA being like, we can't refill your prescription, you need to come in and do a drug test.
All right.
What? Why? Well, you need to do a drug test, and then we can refill your prescription. What? So I looked it up online, and because something like 30 some odd % of people who are prescribed Adderall don't actually take it and just sell it, they're making me do a drug test to make sure that I have amphetamines in my system.
It sounds like a reverse drug test where they're checking to make sure there actually is substance in your urine.
You need to come in here and you better have opioids in your system, I swear to God.
If your urine is clean, we're not gonna be happy.
Yeah. It's just like, that would be such
And that shit better be yellow, too!
Better be yellow! So yeah, I had to go in and do a piss test to see whether or not there was Adderall in my system. Obviously there was, because they did give me my prescription. They haven't gotten back to me about it.
What if there was a substance that causes you to have a false negative? You hear stories about people that go in for a drug test and they have a false positive because
because they ate a bunch of like poppy seed muffins or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's opioids in your piss, but maybe like you had a pineapple and they said no, that neutralizes it, so there's nothing in your urine.
Yeah, there's nothing in your urine. It's actually somehow I don't know how this happened, but you have the urine of a shark. I don't know how that happened or how we did a test for it, but that is what is going on now. So apparently you're a shark. We're canceling all of your VA benefits.
And we've called SeaWorld.
Yeah. When I had to do that, I suddenly was reminded of a time when I was in the military. I was prescribed some type of painkiller. I think it was for when I was having the weird problem with my leg, and they prescribed me a painkiller. That wasn't actually just ibuprofen. Because usually that's what they do. Usually if you go to the medic and you're like, yeah, this really hurts. My leg is swelled up to the size of a cantaloupe. There's blood coming out of my ears. What do I do? They go, oh, I don't know. Just take some ibuprofen, go back to work.
I see you also have an open fracture. Let me rub some dirt on that.
Yeah, hi. I need some medical help. My leg has fallen off. 2 of my teeth came out. There's blood coming out of my nose. And I think I detached my retina. You tried not being a little fucking bitch. Never go to sick call, because if you go to sick call, that means you're a little bitch. I was prescribed painkillers for something. I forget specifically what it was. But I'd been taking those painkillers for like 2 days. It wasn't even that long. And then I show up to do PT, and surprise, surprise, we're doing a piss test today. So I go to the sergeant administering the urinalysis, and I'm like, this is my profile. Here is that I'm taking this medication. It's probably going to show up on the urinalysis because it's just a fucking opioid, and they just throw those at everybody in the military.
So if you see that I am on drugs, it's because I have certification to be on drugs.
Do I still need to do this because I'm going to show up on this?
I'm gonna pop.
Well, yeah, you still have to do it. You might be on something else. All right, fine, whatever. I'll do it. It's not like I have a fucking choice.
Maybe if you had volunteered to be a pecker checker, I'm sure someone would have given you their spot.
No, they won't. They won't let you do that because you have to be an NCO in order to do that.
And you weren't an NCO at the
and
time.
I wasn't an NCO, and I never was going to be.
But you didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
I keep
I
forgetting.
had a pretty good idea.
I keep forgetting NCOs start at E5 for you.
No, technically it starts at E4 as well, but there's two different types of E4. There's specialist and then corporal.
Right, but corporal doesn't count.
Corporal doesn't count. If you're a corporal, you're not an NCO. I don't care what anybody says. Get your head out of your own ass. Stop smelling your own farts. You're not a fucking NCO, all right? You are the equivalent of the assistant to the regional manager at a fucking McDonald's in the middle of nowhere.
When I got promoted to corporal, I actually felt a sense of pride, but congratulations, you've dashed that.
Yep, you're welcome.
I preserved that for a good decade, and it's gone now.
Yeah, when I was first in the military and young and very stupid, and I got promoted to PFC, I was like, oh my god, yeah, oh whoa. And then after that point, I just didn't give a shit anymore.
Because what's beyond private first class? Private zeroth class?
No, specialist.
Great, now my insignia's upside down.
Now it's upside down and it has an eagle in the center of it. Or as a lot of people like to refer to specialist as full bird private.
Full bird private, I've never heard that.
Yeah. Because it does, for some reason the specialist logo is filled in and it's got an eagle in the middle of it. Like a colonel rank.
Yeah, like a colonel.
It's just like, why is that in there?
We have a surplus of eagles, we're so patriotic.
Yeah. No, we know exactly what we're doing. We're going to use the specialist to do all the shit that needs to get done, but we can't tell anyone to get it done.
We're gonna have the workload of a colonel.
I was going to disagree with you, but no, a lot of the times they do. Anyway, so I do the urinalysis, I do the piss test, and then like 2 days later, they call me down to the company. Hazard, why did you pop hot on the piss test for this drug? We got you now, you fucker. We got you now. We got you. You were in so much fucking trouble. We're gonna give you an Article 15, 45 days of extra duty.
You popped hot on the test.
Yeah, like I told them I was going to, because I was on drugs.
Did they find any marijuana?
No, I was a good boy. I didn't do drugs while I was in the military.
Alcohol is technically a substance, and you were on Adderall.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, not at the
I
time?
wasn't on Adderall at the time, no.
Oh. What medication were you on that got you popped? You don't remember?
Like a painkiller.
Just a painkiller.
Yeah, it was just I don't remember what it was. It was just painkillers.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was. Whatever it was, it showed up. It probably was like Percocet or something.
Yeah.
And I didn't take it for very long because like it made me feel sick. I think they put something in Percocet so that you can't take too much of it because it'll make you really sick. To try to stop people from overdosing on Percocet.
Percocet makes you sick. The malaria medication makes you sick. You think they're doing that intentionally? They're putting nausea-inducing substances inside the medication? So
Yes.
when you inevitably stop taking them, they could say it's your fault.
Yes.
It's all a grand conspiracy.
Yeah, everything in the military is just designed to make everyone miserable as hell. Anyway, they called me down to the company and they were acting like this was this massive sting operation that they'd been preparing for weeks, that they finally caught the drug kingpin known as Zach Hazard that was distributing opioids to everybody. I am the sole source of the opioid epidemic at Fort Polk. It's just like, I fucking told you guys that this was going to happen. You could have written it down somewhere.
On the plus side, though, you got to tell that to them, to their faces, let them know that they screwed up. There must have been some sense of smug self-satisfaction.
The only thing I was thinking was just, I could be working right now. Why are you wasting my...
I've got so many
Don't
things
waste
to do.
my motherfucking time! Why are we going through all of this nonsense when I could just be actually working, when I could be doing something productive? You could be doing something productive.
You could, yeah.
You could be doing something like napping in your office.
Like you usually do.
Beating your wife. I don't know. Fucking pick something. Anything but accosting me, please. To be fair, he was going to be beating his wife anyway. I was
Yeah,
just like,
okay.
maybe he could figure out a better way to do it.
Maybe he can multitask, choke himself with a belt while he's doing it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Save himself some time.
Yeah, nothing ended up coming of that. It was just basically like, oh, we got you now. We got you. You're going to be in so much trouble. And it's like, no, I literally, here's a thing from the doctor saying that I'm supposed to be on this medication.
Can I go back to work now?
Oh, all right. I guess that's fine then. It's like, don't sound so disappointed, man. You'll get me for something next time.
If I'm not in jail, you can keep making my life miserable. You should be happy.
Great times. It's great. I still get people that ask me, oh, I'm thinking about joining the military. What branch should I go into? It's like, don't.
If you have to ask.
Don't do it. Don't go into the military.
That should be your default position, and they need to convince you. With money.
I don't ever encourage anyone to join the military. It is not for everyone. Hell, it's not for most people. I spent 5 years in it, and it wasn't for me.
You've decided that now? It was not the right choice for you?
I decided that after like the second year I was in that it wasn't for me.
Okay.
And I
but it was
like,
too late now then.
Yeah, it's like, I can't get out now. The only way I can get out now is either die or get kicked out. The only time I think you should join the military is if it's something that you have wanted to do for literally your entire life. If it's something you wanted to do for as long as you can remember, then no matter what I say, you're probably still going to join the military.
Yeah.
I had wanted to join the military since I was 5. It didn't really matter what anyone told me. There were people that were like, yeah, it sucked, don't do it. I still did it.
Yeah. You're all exaggerating. I'm cut out for this life.
Part of it was, well, it won't be like that for me. And part of it was, well, I can handle it. And yeah, I could handle it. I didn't fucking like it, but I could handle it. Mm-hmm. It's really weird to me when people contact me and are like, I joined the military. I joined the military because of Zach Hazard. Why? At what point has anything that I talked about sounded fun? If I knew what I knew now, then would I still join the military?
It's a no for me. I guess you have to sigh and think about it for a second.
Probably. I probably would have picked a different job. I would have tried to be a helicopter pilot. Or, I don't know, just something else.
Why would you think changing your job would be significantly better?
The chances of me not getting sent to Fort Polk would be higher. If I'd picked a more specialized job, it probably would have increased my value.
Possibly, yeah.
But military's basically shit everywhere.
Yeah.
So it kind of doesn't really matter. It's all down to what is your leadership like. And the chances are a lot higher that you're going to have shit leadership than you're going to have good leadership. I feel like if I had gone to a different base, maybe things would have been different.
I feel like they wouldn't.
But I don't know. I still keep up with what's going on in the military to some degree. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stupid shit, and yeah, I probably hear more about the stupid shit that's happening than the actual good shit that's happening. Of course, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of really fucking dumb shit happening.
Yeah.
And part of the problem is because a lot of the people that are higher up in leadership are people that were in the same time as me.
Your peers are now leading.
Part of the problem is a lot of the people who would have made really good officers or leaders did not stay in the military. They were like, this fucking sucks. I gotta get out of here. So they left. Which means that you're stuck with a lot of the dregs that are now left that just suck at everything and have failed upwards their entire career. That have only been promoted because there wasn't anyone else to promote.
Mm-hmm. Or because of some weird nonsense with promotion points.
So they're the ones that are now leading. Which means you end up with people like the general, I forget what, he was at a base in Texas, and he basically was saying, oh no, we don't have a black mold problem in the barracks, we have a discipline problem.
People are complaining about mold, it's a complainer's problem.
We have a discipline problem, they're not cleaning their rooms well enough. And it's just like, I have photos of 1/8 of an inch of mold growing on my air conditioning unit. Yeah, that's definitely my fault that the inside of my air conditioning unit looks like a petri dish.
They expected you to break open all the appliances, crack them open, and clean them out from the inside.
There was a day at Fort Polk where I was living in these barracks, and it was at a time where I was living in one of the rooms by myself. I didn't have a roommate. There was just mold all over the walls. So I spent the entire day just chain smoking cigarettes and scraping mold off the walls and hosing everything down with bleach.
You're cleaning the walls while the cigarette is pouring out of your mouth, belching smoke, going, I can't get these walls clean for some reason.
I'm just chain smoking cigarettes, just a cigarette just hanging out of the corner of my mouth, breathing in bleach fumes, trying to get rid of the mold in my room. And at the end of the day, the room was clean. There was no more mold.
Yay.
I was like, wow, this is amazing, because I'm very allergic to mold. This is great. My room is finally clean. Not even a week later, the mold was already growing back out of the air conditioning unit.
Okay. I thought the twist there was I found out the next day they were moving me to a different room.
No, however, I will tell you that a month or two after that, I moved out of those barracks into new barracks. It was because I had changed companies. I was in one company, I switched to a different company, so they moved me out of those barracks into new barracks.
Okay.
When they moved me out of those barracks, I was like one of the only people living in this building. When they moved me out of that building, the person that was in charge of putting me in the new building was like, wait, you were where? Dude, nobody's supposed to be living in there. That building is condemned. I was like, that's where my company had put me.
Okay.
They put me in that building.
They
were like, yep, that building's condemned. It's filled with asbestos. One of the other barracks, I'm not even fucking kidding. One of the other barracks we were living in, they had a full company living in this, all the soldiers that weren't living off base. They had the full company living in this barracks. The building was condemned while people were living in it.
Okay.
Basically, the building inspector showed up and said, this building is condemned, no one's supposed to be living in here, and our company went, yeah, we're just going to ignore that, and just took the label off. It's not condemned, it's fine.
Okay. I laugh about that kind of incompetence, but that does have long-lasting health issues that you develop. Asbestos and burn pits and all this crazy nonsense. It went into your body. It causes problems.
That's why whenever people ask me, oh, should I join the military? I'm like, no, don't.
Be a sanitation engineer.
Go to college, rack up massive student debt.
That would... I'm not sure if I would advocate exactly for that line, but...
I mean, it just ruins your life in a different way.
Yeah. It'll ruin you financially, but at least you'll have your health.
One of the examples...
Except you won't because you can't afford healthcare.
One of the examples of the government just not giving a fuck about people that I like to bring up is... this may have happened in the 60s or 70s. Basically, at Area 51, the Groom Lake facility in Nevada, there were several workers that were there that got basically poisoned with something. They took all of these workers and brought them to a hospital, and the doctors at the hospital were like, okay, well, we can treat them if you tell us what they've been poisoned with. Because they've been poisoned with something. We don't know what it is. We don't have time to do all the tests to figure it out. If you tell us what they've been poisoned with, we can fix the problem. And the government went, no, they're not poisoned. We didn't poison them. They have been poisoned. This guy is literally dying right now. They have been poisoned. Tell us what they've been poisoned with. No, we can't tell you. We can't tell you for national security reasons.
Jeez.
I think like 6 people died. Because the government wouldn't tell them. The families did a class action lawsuit against the government, not for financial compensation, to get the government to say, Area 51 exists. That's all they were trying to do, was just get the government to go, Area 51 exists.
Because maybe if they acknowledged it, they could get some kind of compensation. Maybe they run the paperwork on
Maybe, I don't know, something along those lines. Basically, this legal battle went on for like 20 years, and the government just kept going, nope, doesn't exist, it's not real, not a real place. Area 51 doesn't exist, it's not real. We definitely don't test spy planes there, it's not a real place. And then after 20 years, finally the government went, oh, okay, it's fine, it's real. And the only reason they did that is because somebody took satellite photos of it.
Jeez.
And they had to basically just be like, okay, fine, it exists.
All right, this is the thing.
And then basically a month after that, they went, no, actually, we were lying. It doesn't really exist. Those photos are of nothing. They could have told doctors what these people had been poisoned with, and they wouldn't do it.
Now, my go-to example has always been the Tuskegee experiments.
Yep, that's another one.
Or the 9/11 first responders, if you want a more recent example. They had to fight for 2 decades, 3 decades, trying to get healthcare.
Yeah. It's the same thing for the the burn pits.
Oh, yeah, burn pits.
People were complaining about the burn pits while I was in Iraq. They were like, hey, we probably shouldn't be anywhere near these things. We also shouldn't be throwing this stuff. We shouldn't be throwing literally everything into a pile and setting it on fire. That's a really bad idea. And they were just like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's not a problem. You definitely don't have lung cancer. If you do have lung cancer, it's probably your own fault because you were smoking the entire time you were in the military. So it's your fault.
Yeah.
And I honestly, this is the bitter old fuck of a cynical asshole part of my brain is like, yeah, the only reason they did it now is because most of the people are fucking dead.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up. I wonder how long it took after the Vietnam War for them to acknowledge that Agent Orange caused a bunch of problems. There's another example. We'll just spray a bunch of defoliant over all of our own troops in the middle of the jungle. That'll go fine.
What was Agent Orange supposed to be used for?
Agent Orange is a defoliant. It gets rid of plants.
Okay.
It kills plants.
So they wanted to get rid of the plants in which the Viet Cong were hiding.
Yes.
And it turned out to be kind of toxic.
It turned out to be incredibly toxic because, surprise, surprise, a thing that kills plants is not good for humans. What a surprise!
I know herbicides exist, but you shouldn't be injecting them.
Ingesting.
Don't do either of them, really.
Because they would just fly over and just spray it.
So many examples to choose from. And these are just off the top of our heads.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, in summation, we started talking about medication, but we're wrapping up by saying don't join the military again.
Yeah, again, it's just like...
It all comes back to that.
Don't... Again, unless it's something that you've wanted to do for your entire... You know, have you ever seen the little chart that's like 10-year-old boys will base their entire personality off of one of these things?
It's like astronauts and dinosaurs.
Astronaut, dinosaur, soldier. It's just like all... Yeah, it's like... Mine was basically soldier and dinosaur were the two that I based mine off of.
Commando Stegosaurus.
Yeah. That was basically my entire personality as a kid. So yeah, I'd wanted to be a soldier since I was a little kid. When I was in elementary school, I would do patrols of the playground with my imaginary rifle. That was what I did for fun.
Okay.
I'd wanted to be a soldier for as long as I could remember.
What do you think inspired that? What kind of propaganda were you watching at a young age?
It was probably G.I. Joe and the fact that I'm autistically obsessed with guns. Wanted to go out and help people to fight for a good and noble cause. And then every single war we fought in post-World War II has been for somebody's financial gain. If I have to suggest a branch of the military to join, Coast Guard.
If you have this desire to make the world better, join Doctors Without Borders. I don't know.
Yeah. Every branch of the military has its own brand of stupid that they have to deal with. Like, Army is just bureaucratic incompetence. Marines constantly rat each other out for, I don't know, even the slightest leg up. Also, the crayons aren't very good. Navy, you're stuck on a tin can and everything is smelly.
And the Air Force, you don't get any respect.
Air Force gets, like, literally zero respect, and also it's almost impossible to join. And again, they still treat you... Because the Air Force came from the Army, you do still have that bureaucratic bullshit that you have to deal with.
I didn't notice anything about the Marines ratting each other out. That's a new thing that I've heard just now.
Yeah, I've noticed that happens a lot. And Marines are very, very prone to being like, "Oh, this guy did it." They do that. They seem to do that a lot.
That's because Marines have integrity.
I guess. But then it's like the person ratting them out is also doing a bunch of really shady, fucked up shit. So
instead of joining the military, you should join a private military company, a PMC, because it's like being in the military, but you're also unionized.
Most PMCs will not take people that don't have combat experience.
A bit of a catch-22. You'd have to join the Army.
Most PMCs won't take people that don't have prior combat experience. It's kind of like the Groucho Marx quote of, "I wouldn't join any organization that would have me as a member."
Yeah.
Most PMCs don't want someone that wants to join a PM. If someone's like, "I'm such a badass, I did this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing," it's like, yeah, you're full of fucking shit and we don't want you.
Anyway.
I just said, just don't join. Just don't join the military. That's basically what I would say about that. I guess if you're going to join, you need to be real careful about what job you select. Don't just go to the recruiter and be like, I want a job.
It's the same thing for basically anything in life. When you go to college, figure out what your plan is. Don't just go there and say, I'll go to college for 3 or 4 years and I'll figure out what my degree is. Have an end goal. Don't rack up massive amounts of debt because you want to go to college.
Originally, what I wanted to join the Army for was to drive tanks.
How did they persuade you not to be a tank person?
You know that if you pick tanker, you don't drive the tank all the time. Like, they switch out. Everybody on the tank has to be able to do everything. Oh, that's dumb. I just want to drive the tank. Yeah, you probably don't want to do that job. All right.
You're the expert. I guess I'll defer to your judgment, you said all starry-eyed.
It didn't really take much convincing for me to be like, oh, yeah, I don't actually want to drive tanks as a job. I was not an armorer. There is a distinct difference.
You're not an armorer. You're a small guns repair person.
There's a distinct difference. Basically, okay, so what you have in the Army is there are multiple levels of repair. There is 10, which is operator level. That is the person that is you. That is you holding the firearm.
I hold the firearm.
You are operator level.
I'm number 1.
20 is armor level. That is the guy that you take the gun from and you give the gun back to. That is the guy that goes, no, it's not clean enough. And you slip him a 20 to be like, just take my gun. And he goes, look at this idiot, gave me a 20. Clean your gun again, jackass. That's the armor.
Okay.
The armor is capable of removing the handguard, removing the stock, removing the pistol grip, installing an optic, removing iron sights, installing iron sights. And that's about fucking it.
Okay.
They're not really allowed to do anything more than that. 30 is small arms repair. I am allowed to fix everything on the gun with the exception of a couple components.
What are some components you're not allowed to touch?
On the M16 or the M4, I am not allowed to remove the front sight from the barrel.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not talking about the front sight post. The entire cast front sight block assembly is pinned onto the barrel. Mm-hmm. It uses 2 tapered roll pins. I am not allowed to remove those. Basically, if the front sight post gets damaged on an M16 barrel, I have to just remove the entire barrel and replace it with a new one. I know how to take the front sight post off, but I'm not allowed to do it.
Okay.
Another example is on the 240 Bravo series of machine guns. The 240 Bravo is made out of multiple plates that are riveted together. Mm-hmm. If any of those plates are damaged, I have to send it to the next level of repair. I am not allowed to do anything with that. But basically, I can fix almost anything. There are very few parts on firearms that I was not allowed to fix. I was not personally responsible for issuing firearms to people. That is the unit armor, the 20 level. The difference would be you are the operator of the car.
Yes.
In this example, Jiffy Lube is 20 level.
Okay.
They can change your oil, they can change your air filter, they can do stuff like that. Auto body and engine repair would be me.
Okay.
And then the only thing higher than that would be sending it back to the vehicle manufacturer. There is a level that's up from mine. They're allowed to do a couple other things. They're like the ones that are at a big army installation. And basically there is stuff they're allowed to do, but from what I understand, a lot of the time, they just go, send it back to the manufacturer. Or code it out, scrap it, get a new one.
Okay.
If you had a specialized auto mechanic and you were like, yeah, it's my oil change guy. It's just like, okay, yes, he's capable of doing that, but that's really rude.
You're kind of diminishing what he can actually do.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I did not issue firearms to anybody. I didn't have to maintain an arms room. My shop was technically capable of storing firearms, but that's only because there are times when there were weapons that come in that I can't fix them right then. So my shop has to be capable of storing firearms in a vault until I can get them completely fixed.
Okay. You've mentioned a couple times how you have to repair the barrel on a couple of firearms. Is that usually a pretty easy swap? Doesn't take you very long? Or is that dependent on the firearm?
It's dependent on the firearm, but yeah, even so, it's still pretty easy. Like on an M16 M4, that's like maybe a 10-15 minute job.
Okay.
Do you want me to go through the process of how you remove a barrel on an M16 M4?
Sure, list off the steps
right,
since
great.
you have it memorized.
Well, obviously, you make sure the weapon is clear first. So we're going to just get that one out of the way, because otherwise someone's going, oh my god, Zach, you didn't clear the weapon. It's like, this is a hypothetical. Shut up. Remove the handguards. Remove the upper receiver from the weapon. Take the bolt out of the weapon. Put the upper receiver into a vise. Drive out the gas tube retaining pin. Remove the gas tube from the front of the firearm. Use the wrench to remove the barrel nut. Unscrew that all the way. Barrel comes out through the front. Put the new barrel into it. Obviously, you have to put all the stuff onto the new barrel, so you got to put the flash hider on there. You have to put the delta ring back onto it, blah, 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 blah.
Very important.
Use the torque wrench to tighten down the barrel nut. Reinsert the gas tube. Put the gas tube back into the front sight block. Put the gas tube pin back in. Put the handguards back on, and then just reassemble the gun.
Well done.
Yeah, it's relatively simple. Do you want to know how to replace a barrel on a 240 Bravo?
Go ahead and list that off, too.
Push the button on the side of the receiver, slap the handle that's on the carrying handle, slap that over to the side, barrel comes off through the front, put a new barrel on it, tighten it back down.
Well, that's significantly easier.
Yeah, it's because it's got a quick change barrel mechanism, so it's real fast. Most of the time, replacing a barrel on a gun is not really super complicated.
Okay.
Anyway, I wanted to clarify that I was the step above unit armor.
I will probably continue to make that mistake. I apologize in advance.
Also, for anyone that's higher up in the military that's watching this, I know none of you are, but anyone that's higher up in the military that is watching this, stop making unit armor a punishment position. Don't do that. Put someone in the unit armor position like me that's an autist for guns, because then they will actually do a good job and your firearms will be maintained properly.
Okay.
That drove me absolutely insane. Almost every support unit I went to treated the armor as a punishment position.
Seems so odd. It does seem like you're in a jail cell from the outside, but it's not supposed to be a punishment.
Some of the infantry companies treated it like, we're going to pick the person that actually wants to be in here. We're going to pick the person that has a good mind for organization, that has a good mind for numbers, and is good at maintenance. We're going to pick one of those people. But a lot of units treat it as like, oh, well, this guy's a fucking scumbag. Put him in the armory. So he can't fucking break anything. And it's like, you just put him in the spot where all of your serialized items are. All of the expensive, black market, sought-after, serialized items.
He can't break his weapon now. He can just break everybody else's. And also his own.
He can break everybody else's weapons, and he can just take them and sell them. And nobody's gonna know until someone does an audit.
And by that time, they may have already gotten out.
There was a couple times at Fort Polk where they did an audit and some weapons came up missing. And nobody knows where they went, but there's just an M16 or an M4 that's just gone.
It's unaccounted for.
Don't know where it is.
Gone forever.
And sometimes, I'm not saying this happens all the time, but sometimes chain of command just goes, I never heard of that gun. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's all a conspiracy.
I wouldn't necessarily say that. Sometimes it's just laziness.
They're conspiring to be lazy.
Or sometimes it's just somebody went on a field exercise and leaned their M4 against the side of a Bradley, and then the Bradley drove away, and the M4 fell over, and then got run over by 27 different Bradleys, and now no one's ever finding that gun again.
It's been ground into a powder.
Do you remember when the Marines lost a F-23? It was recently.
I haven't heard of it, no.
Yeah, the Marines lost a fight. Or was it F-23? Oh, I'm sorry, F-35. Why was I thinking the F-23? The F-23 is the Black Widow. Nobody adopted that. Whatever.
I didn't realize Amelia Earhart had enlisted, losing an entire plane.
Was she ever actually in the middle? Whatever. That doesn't freaking ADHD. The Marines lost an F-35. Did you hear about that?
I had no.
This was a while ago. I want to say like a month or two back.
Okay. It's always in the last place you leave it.
I think what happened is... I should look this up so I get it correct.
Okay.
Oh, they did find it. Okay. Well, they found debris from it.
It was behind the dryer. Oh, wait. So it's crashed.
So this was in September 17th. They found debris from it. So there was an F-35 that was being flown. Something happened. The pilot ejected out of it. And it kept going.
Okay.
And they couldn't find it. Like, why didn't it have GPS tracking or something? Anyway, whatever.
Maybe it did, but it stopped working for whatever reason.
And I was just imagining, because it was South Carolina, I was just imagining that it, like, went into the ocean, and then they just had a bunch of Marines wearing floaties, just, like, arms across America, swimming across the ocean, looking for debris, and every 5 feet, they stick their head in the water to look down for it. Did you ever have to do the arms across America thing?
It was never called that, but we've had
Police call?
Police call, yeah.
We always called it Arms Across America.
I'd never heard of that. That's silly.
Police call is when you're done doing a range or whatever. Everyone stands with their arms outstretched to either side. You stand fingertip to fingertip, and you walk in a straight line and look for anything on the ground that isn't supposed to be there. Anything that isn't grass or dirt.
Yeah.
Or rocks, I guess.
Or goose poop. You have to crawl through that.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you about the multiple times that I had to do that at Fort Polk?
I don't know if you told me, but I already had assumed you had to do that because I had to do that. For the limited amount of time I was active duty, I had to do that.
You have to do that for police call, but then whenever something goes missing, they just send everyone out to the field to go look for it.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
So that's why I brought up the Marines just doing Arms Across America in the middle of the ocean looking for an F-35. So
I see.
At one point, we had these things called Raven drones. And what a Raven drone is did you ever get one of those styrofoam airplanes?
Yeah.
Those like styrofoam gliders.
You throw them.
Yeah, it's basically one of those, but it's got a battery in it. It's got a little infrared camera on the front of it.
Sounds like a drone.
Yeah, it's a little basically like styrofoam drone.
Okay.
They're painted gray. I think they're made of styrofoam. I didn't get to play around with them because I was small arms repair, so why the hell would I get to play around with the cool shit?
Well, you got to play around with a grenade launcher attached to your firearm.
Okay, fair. That's fair and valid. I accept that one. I did get to play around with a grenade launcher. So they have these things called Raven drones, and when they issued the Raven drones out, they gave them explicit instructions that you can put the Raven drone on multiple different frequencies. You can actually preload like 2 or 3 frequencies onto this thing. So if your first frequency goes out, you can just go to the second frequency and still maintain contact with it. And they said, this is very important now. This is incredibly important. Do not put it on the same frequency as your radio.
Okay.
If you put it on the same frequency as your radio, the moment you key it up, it'll just send a scrambled signal to the drone and it'll get confused and fly away. Also, this is also very important. Put a home point on the GPS of your Raven drone. Because that way, if and when it gets lost, it goes home. Like a homing pigeon.
Okay.
So, we go out on a field exercise, and the lieutenant that's in charge of this convoy, in his infinite wisdom, decides that everything is going to be on the same radio frequency, because that way no one can forget it. And I'm not reading the manual for that drone. That's stupid. That's dumb. The person operating it should have read the manual for it. Why do I have to read the manual for it? The person operating it was told 5 minutes ago that they were operating the Raven drone.
Hurry up and read that manual.
I didn't go to the class for this. I don't care.
Read
You're
faster.
operating it now.
Read.
No home GPS has been set for it. Go out on the convoy, power up the Raven drone. The good idea fairy strikes. We're going to throw the Raven drone so we can look ahead to see if there's any OP4 on that side of this opposing force.
Oh, okay.
OP4 is the bad guys.
Gotcha.
The good idea fairy strikes and tells him, we'll throw the Raven drone up ahead so that we can see if there's a curve, completely forgetting the fact that we're not even to the actual training area yet. OP4 isn't even out there. There is no OP4. You are in the middle of a swamp in Louisiana. There is no OP4. Throws the drone, goes up in the air, takes off. And someone keys up the radio to say, yep, the Raven drone is in the air. And the Raven drone goes, and just takes off and just goes away. And then now they're on the radio going, oh shit, it's flying away. Why is it leaving? Why is it? Oh my God, it's going away. Someone stop the Raven drone. Click. How do we turn off the Raven drone? Click. And every single time they key up the radio, the Raven drone's going, wait. Okay, hang on.
It's so confused.
Flying away. They lost contact with it. They regained contact with the drone for 30 seconds. And in that time, it was at 15,000 feet with a 25-mile-an-hour tailwind, and it had 75% battery left.
That's a lot of battery still.
And it was just gone. So, now the training exercise is canceled because we have to find this Raven drone because it's expensive. And it's a serialized item, and we have to find it. We spent the next week walking through the middle of nowhere in Louisiana.
Wow.
Looking for a gray styrofoam drone. Like walking through briar patches, and this is how I almost got bit by a cottonmouth snake.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
We're walking through the middle of nowhere, and there's this like really gross stream, creek that's maybe 1 to 2 feet deep of murky water. And myself and like the 4 other people that have walked up to this ditch are trying to figure out like, well, do we just go around it? Nope, Sarge says you gotta go into that because the drone might be in it. And you gotta feel around down there for the drone.
Oh, jeez.
Because it might be in there. I'm like, it's made of styrofoam. It'll float. Anyway, myself and the 4 other people have to go into the murky water and start feeling around for this drone because it might be down there. And then one of the people that's in there with me goes, shit, snake, oh my God, snake. And I look up and there's a cottonmouth snake going, just like motoring towards me. I have never moved like this in my entire life, and I probably will never be able to again. That water was, maybe about 1 foot to 2 feet deep, and there was probably about a good, 1 foot ledge from where the surface of the water was to where the dirt was. I jumped straight up out of the water onto the ground.
It's like something out of my Japanese animes.
Just like, boop, just out of the water, like I was a fucking mermaid. Just up on. None of us got bit by the snake.
Hooray!
Fortunately.
Yeah.
So yeah, we spent a week looking for this stupid fucking drone, basically just eating MREs 3 meals a day. Because now the field exercise is over. Now we go back to a tent. We wake up in this shitty tent in the middle of nowhere. We get up, we get on a bunch of 5-ton trucks, they drive us out to the middle of nowhere, and then we walk through an entire grid square looking for a drone. Okay. And then you, in the middle of the day, you stop and sit down in the middle of this field with no shade and just bake in the sun and eat your crappy MRE. And then continue looking for the drone until 6 o'clock at night, and then you go back to your tent, and then you do the exact same thing the next day. And this went on for a week. They finally found the drone.
Oh, okay, so it actually had a payoff.
Nope, because the way they found the drone...
The people that were marching across the grid square didn't find it.
No. Fort Polk is in the middle of nowhere in Louisiana, and about an hour northeast-ish...
Waffle House has our drone.
There is a place called Alexandria.
Okay.
The drone landed in Alexandria, in some guy's tree. And he found it, and it had a phone number on it, and it said, in case this is found, return to U.S. Army, call this phone number, whatever. He called the phone number, hey, y'all, I found your weird robot thing. It was in a tree making weird buzzing noises. You probably should come get it.
Thank God it didn't land on somebody's roof and they never check it.
Yeah, or in my backyard, because if it had landed in my backyard, I would have been like, oh, that's hot shit, and I would have fucking put it on top of the mantle and be like, yeah, that was in my yard one day, I shot it down.
It says return to U.S. Army, but no.
No, I'm keeping it. Yeah.
Right next to my traffic cone that I took from the street.
Yeah, exactly.
The stop sign that I cut down.
Fortunately, some dude found it and actually called.
So all that time was wasted.
All that time was for absolutely nothing. We had another time we had to do Arms Across America was because there was a guy in our unit that he wanted to go on leave, and they said, no, you can't go on leave. We have a field exercise. And he was like, but I want to go on leave. And they said, no, we have to go on a field exercise. So when we went out to the field, because he was mad that he didn't get to go on leave, he threw his M16 out the window of his Humvee.
Oh!
And then every vehicle in the convoy, because this was in the middle of the night, so nobody saw it go whoop out the window. Every vehicle in the convoy drove over it.
Oh, jeez.
And nobody noticed he had done that until the next day. The next day is when someone noticed that he didn't have his rifle. So once again, Arms Across America looking for this fucking M16, and because this guy was such a shitbag, he wouldn't tell anybody where he had thrown it out of the vehicle. He just said, I must have lost it.
Well, Private, congratulations. Not only are you not going on leave, you're going to the brig for the next 40 years.
And then I know he got demoted. And it's just like, the thing that was really stupid is we were walking through the middle of nowhere, not even remotely near where he could have lost it.
Well, that's silly.
And granted, there were like every other unit was out there doing this shit too.
Oh, okay.
Because, mass punishment is the thing. Might as well make the entire battalion look for this M16.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, took a week. The only reason anybody found it was because somebody went to take a piss and then tripped on the barrel that was barely sticking out of the ground.
Oh, damn.
Because it had the ground had been muddy, and it had been run over so many times that it was just compressed down into the mud, and just the tip of the muzzle was sticking out of the ground.
Wow.
And he tripped over it. If that private hadn't gone to take a piss, I'd probably still be out there looking for that fucking M16.
Wow, what a story. You didn't like living it, I'm sure.
It wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy it. It's like, I wish I could tell more about how much that sucked, but it's just like, that's what you did. You walked through the middle of nowhere and looked for a thing.
This story was over for you in 45 minutes, but I had to live it for a week.
Yeah. Day after day after day of getting this Sisyphean task of patrolling nothing in search of the MacGuffin.
Mm-hmm. And it was destroyed at that point, so you're just looking for garbage.
Yeah, pretty much.